Hello, folks. Well, it seems like we've arrived in a familiar environment as we discovered a few days ago. This looks oddly like the town of Santa Fe with all the fun little shops, markets, and just the design of this plaza is eerily familiar to our prior city. I promise you, I didn't bring you back to Santa Fe. We are actually in a nearby city. We've entered the central part of the state, and this central part of the state is dominated by New Mexico's largest city, Albuquerque. But did you know that there is an older part of the town full of all these tranquil little markets? And the design is not by accident, of course. The Spanish, the colonial people who first came to New Mexico a couple hundred years ago, well, more than that, they designed a lot of their colonial cities to be the same way in architecture, design. Yeah, kind of a contrast to the big, sprawling city, the modern Albuquerque, that you might hear about. You know, the one that's the cultural, economic epicenter of New Mexico. This is a bit different. This sort of reminds you of Albuquerque's fabled past as a little outpost on the El Camino Real. And this trail was used to unify the parts of New Spain in the Americas that the Spanish had under their control. New Mexico at the time was just this little frontier land. Albuquerque started as just a mere humble outpost, but today you can see it's grown to a population of like 550,000 people. It's incredible. But the walls here in the old town of Albuquerque, made to look like they're made of some adobe. You're not gonna find these in the rest of the city. So I thought it was just a good starting off point for our day here in Albuquerque, largest city in New Mexico. Thing to know before we head into the modern city of Albuquerque, places along the southwest generally have an interesting color scheme. So here in New Mexico we've found various shades of brown, red, beige, cream, part of that adobe architecture style, but you'll also get shades of turquoise found in this sign, Old Town Albuquerque, and then various buildings, more and more turquoise all around us, here and there. Could that be because of the turquoise that's very much abundant here in the Southwest? Lots of turquoise mined here in the Southwest United States. Back in Santa Fe, I bought this necklace of turquoise, and that was mined in Nevada. So let's pay attention as we might be able to find lots of turquoise, not just here in New Mexico, but maybe all around the Southwest region. So we are on the Old Town Road here in Albuquerque, on our way to the downtown. And one thing about Albuquerque, for such a large city, it's not only possible, but quite simple to walk from one part of the town to the actual downtown, the city center. I'll explain more about how the Old Town is identified as very different. But as you can see, the area around Albuquerque is quite nice. You can see little parks here and there. Houses are still in that Santa Fe style with the adobe looking houses and buildings. It's quite characteristic of New Mexico all around to have these types of buildings, not just in Santa Fe. So here's the deal. In such a divided world where everyone cannot agree on anything, I think one of the few things people can agree on is the appreciation for food. I don't think I've met yet someone who doesn't enjoy food. Of those people, there's a group of people who, well, they have a sweet tooth. I'm talking about myself. I'm one of those people. And so I thought, in New Mexico, there is a state cookie. And it's not very known. People know of New Mexico for various things, but maybe not the state cookie. So I thought, let's have at it. Let's go to one of these panaderias and try ourselves the state cookie of New Mexico. Hold up. Am I seeing that correctly? Speed limit 18? I don't know what it's like in other countries, but here in America, our speed limits are read in increments of 5 and 10. I don't think I've ever seen in my life an 18-mile-an-hour speed limit. Well, there's always firsts to be found here in Albuquerque. Is it possible to get a half dozen biscochitos? Yes. 3 original and then 3 chocolate? Great. Well, what a pit stop we made right there. In this bag are a half dozen biscochitos, and I'll show you what they are. This is the brainchild of the culinary practices of both the indigenous people here and the Spanish colonial people that came here. What resulted was a tasty cookie that's used in all sorts of cultural, social events here in New Mexico. And might I say, it's an underrated treat. My, that's tasty. A bit messy though. Pretty sugary, but not too sugary. I like it. If this is the stuff that is prepared and baked, or maybe ordered, if there's not enough time for these New Mexico celebrations, birthdays, weddings, whatever, please invite me to something. I am now a big fan of biscochitos. So it's clear now we are in the downtown, the real new town of Albuquerque. Albuquerque? I don't know. So it's here that there is a lot to do. It is the largest city in New Mexico. It's really the only major city in New Mexico. This downtown has a lot to desire about it. It's also a perfect place to tell you about why this new town is far away from the old town of Albuquerque. So originally that old town was the center of commerce for a good first part of New Mexico history. It was that epicenter along the Rio Grande Valley. But eventually, in the 1880s or so, the railroads started to come about. And right here in Albuquerque was a major center. And so that took a lot of the commercial activity away from the old town and brought it here to the new town. Eventually, railroads turned into paved roads for the automobile. Route 66 had a major stop here in Albuquerque, and that changed Albuquerque's character a little bit as motels, restaurants, and family roadside attractions were built all around this area to support the oncoming tourism activity here. You've seen postcards or photos of New Mexico. You might be seeing those hot air balloons that are flying into the sunset skies. A beautiful picturesque view. And it's right here in Albuquerque that has that balloon fiesta. That is what New Mexico is known for, one of those main things. Unfortunately, we'd have to be here in October to witness that. It's the middle of August, so I doubt we're going to be seeing any hot air balloons. However, one thing you might see on a visit is a lot of Breaking Bad merchandise, a lot of Breaking Bad stores. There's a lot of tourism associated with that series. It was a hit series, and a lot of the places were either filmed or took place in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So you might see a few stores dedicated to various Breaking Bad memorabilia. If there's one more thing I should tell you before we leave the downtown of Albuquerque, well, I was trying to find, as we were walking, the flag of Albuquerque. And that's because the flag of Albuquerque is a rather strange, peculiar flag by American standards. Just take a look at it. Doesn't that remind you of the communist flag. I mean, it has little tweaks and stuff like the Zia symbol and the city of Albuquerque in its text, but it's just oddly a little too close to something that you'd see out of the Soviet Union. Just a fun little quirk about Albuquerque and its culture. Off we go to our next stop. Well, here we are. What a great, well actually an excellent view to enjoy some more New Mexico food. Now what I've discovered around here in this part of the country is that each state has its own signature fast food burger joint. With Texas it was Whataburger. I'm sure by the time we go to California, far off into the future, we'll get to experience something called In-N-Out. And well, in New Mexico is another example. So what we have here is Blake's Lottaburger. New Mexico does things a little bit differently. Food is no exception. Burgers are no exception too. What I ordered was not just a simple cheeseburger. We're here to not only test out cheeseburgers, burgers of any kind, but to see if there's any flair that comes with ordering something from a particular state. The fun surprise about this burger is that ordered New Mexico style, there's chili peppers on it. That is right. New Mexico loves chili peppers. You could find it in any establishment here that serves New Mexico cuisine. Not that fast food is very representative of a state's food, but hey, we gotta try a burger joint somewhere in New Mexico. So I figured this was the perfect place. And what I can say is that this burger is probably the most photogenic burger I have seen from any establishment. So with those standards set really high, I hope the taste can match the bar I've set for this place. Alright, here we go. Blake's Lottaburger, only found in the land of enchantment. One bite in and I can already tell, this is powerful. It packs a punch with the chili peppers right on top of the patty. It's a very tasty, but also very unique in its spice. You don't find spice in cheeseburgers, so I've got to say, New Mexico, you've done yourself well. I gotta finish this burger here. It was definitely good and tasty, but if you ever come to New Mexico, bring one, an appetite, two, a tolerance for spice, because New Mexico is bringing those two things to you. Anyway, let's go and explore what lays beyond here at the Petroglyph National Monument. These darn New Mexico monsoon afternoons. Well, it's either now or never. The park closes really soon, so this is what has to be done. Hiking in the rain. But I cannot complain. We are in the middle of the stunning New Mexico desert. We know today that the ancestral Pueblo people lived all around this area. They left behind these petroglyphs, these drawings on the rocks that we see in front of us. I guess the rain sort of obscures it, but you can see faint designs which indicate a presence by the first people living here. Petroglyph National Monument does its best to preserve these ancient cliff drawings and just the general area around us. It's a sacred place for not just the Pueblo people of today, but the Navajo, the Apache, many Southwest tribes. This, for example, is a drawing of a man. Now, once again, the rain does a great job of obscuring the view, but you can see the feet, the body, the head up top. I think that's actually a headdress on top. And it shows you that the people here had their own complex societies, just like we do today. Look at that, we have made it to the summit of this mountain. Do you call it a mountain? Do you call it the top of a mesa? I'm not sure. But one thing's for sure. Albuquerque, from this view, incredibly beautiful. Now maybe it's just the rain doing this, but I thought New Mexico was going to be sweltering hot. But right now it's actually kind of chilly. Maybe that has to do with the elevation as well. We're at least like 5,000, 6,000 feet above sea level. I'll conclude by saying the ABQ is a fascinating city with lots to do, lots to see. Maybe it's not the best time to visit right now here in August. Maybe I should have waited till October, but that's all right here. We're having loads of fun here. Next time you see me, we're gonna be in western New Mexico. Hopefully it won't be as rainy as it has been these last few days, but that's all right. We go wherever the winds take us, where adventure brings us. And yeah, we'll just see what our last bit of New Mexico has to offer. I hope it's rather enchanting. So coming to you from Petroglyph National Monument, right outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico, the largest city of the land of enchantment. More travels to come. I will see you, hopefully on a sunnier day, at the next location.